Representative Andrew Collins out of Little Rock, thanks for joining us. So Representative Collins, you are on the Judiciary Committee, so have you seen parts of the prison reform bill, and what's your thoughts right now?
I've had discussions with people working on the bill. I will tell you, based on what I've heard, it's going to be focused around this truth in sentencing idea, which is essentially longer prison sentences. Of course, with longer prison sentences comes the need for more prison space. So I think that we'll see an investment in additional prison space and potentially a new prison. There will be other things probably that are part of the package. I think we'd be likely to see something around mental health. I'm hopeful that we'll see things dealing with reentry, making it a little bit easier for people to come back into society after a prison sentence, since after all, almost every person who serves a prison sentence will at some point re-enter society, and we need to help smooth that transition best we can because they're going to be part of our society. But I do think that the focus is going to be on these longer sentences and more prison space.
Do you think truth in sentencing works?
I don't think it works. I think that, look, this is an old idea. It's been around since the 1990s. It's been tried in many states. It's been, taken away in some states. But what we've seen in all of the research is that when you take a mild to moderate sentence and extend it out to a more severe sentence, that is not an effective deterrent to crime. And crime is a big issue. It's a big issue in my community. It's a big issue throughout the state. It's up. It's very real. But we need to do things that are proven to work. There are things that are proven to work. Increasing policing, especially quality policing with well-paid, well-trained officers on the streets, that can actually help prevent crime. Long-term, the way to prevent crime is to address the root causes of crime: education, family, communities, opportunity. But I don't think that we're going to see success with simply incarcerating our way out of a problem. I don't think that's actually going to solve the problem and prevent the crime that we want to prevent.
And Representative, you talked about policing. So do you think there needs to be more officers, better pay? Is that something that you would push for Republicans to have in this bill?
Well, absolutely. I think that is, you talk about effective ways to spend money. That has a lot more bang for the buck than building another prison. The cost of a prison, we're talking about something well into the hundreds of millions of dollars, possibly in the high side of the hundreds of millions of dollars range. I've introduced legislation that would increase officer pay to a minimum of $50,000 a year across the state in every sheriff's department and every police department in the state. I think that's something we can do, and we can move the whole pay scale up so we aren't compressing. I hope that the Republicans who are involved in this bill will adopt that as part of their work, because ultimately it helps everyone. It doesn't have to be a partisan issue. It's something that is proven to work, and if that were part of this bill or this package, I think it would be a much stronger package.
So Governor Sanders has wanted to address education, prison reform, and taxes. Does the state have enough money to cover all three?
Well, that's the big question. And, there's a lot of chatter around the Capitol that there might not be enough money to go around to do all three the way they want to do all three. I think particularly in the out years of the voucher bill, the LEARNS bill, that's going to really require a lot of additional spending for private schools. That is going to be a huge price tag. And as I mentioned, a new prison could easily be well over $500 million. And that doesn't even go into the ongoing cost of housing these additional prisoners. One prisoner is about $56 a day to the state. And if you have a lot more people who won't be eligible for parole, will be having these longer sentences, that's a huge hit to the state coffers. On top of that, we've done some things on the tax side. I've voted for some of them that are tax relief for working people. Are we going to have the money to afford a tax cut on the high end for the wealthiest earners on the income tax side? I don't know. If it is, it's not going to be down to zero, at least this session for sure. We might see a small income tax reduction on the top end, but I don't think we're going to have the money to do all of these things in the way they were initially intended and presented.
All right, Representative Collins, thanks for joining us.